Alex, good to see you. How you doing?
Great to see you, James. Doing fantastic.
That's awesome. You ready to talk stocks?
Let's get right to it.
All right. Well, when most people think about investing, they think about one thing, and that's becoming a millionaire by finding that perfect stock that
Yeah.
takes them to that plateau of nirvana in wealth. What if focusing on the right stock is the wrong focal point?
So I think people focus on picking something because it feels like they're in control. So, like, if I choose to buy a stock, I made the decision, I did the research, and I did it. But in reality, there's so many factors at play that even though you're picking and choosing a stock, there's way more factors that are outside of your control that can drive that stock down.
We talked about fear and managing fears for a new investor. We talked about how much to invest and
Yes.
how to do that.
Hmm.
And then the next thing is obviously the people have to think about is what stock to pick.
Right.
With some of your thoughts already shared, why do you think people fixate so much on picking the right stock?
I think picking the right stock is fixated on because, again, like we mentioned, that's what makes the headlines. You always hear about the Apple or the Nvidia that's up 1,000% since a certain date. Ironically enough, most investors would be way better off investing in a diversified index fund instead of really trying to target that perfect stock. Because a lot of the time, even the best stock in the world is going to have a pullback. But if I own an index fund that's well diversified, I'm able to kind of offset those bad days because there's other companies that are going to be in that index fund that help off balance that. So I always recommend index funds, especially to start over picking that perfect stock.
Alex, is focusing on picking individual stocks or that perfect stock overrated, or is there actually a harmful component to it?
So I think being able to pick individual stocks is not overrated. It's just the emphasis on how important picking the perfect stock is. So I'm a big fan of individual stocks, but what happens over time with individual stocks is that they have their good days and their bad days. And if I'm only invested in individual stocks, my chance of selling at the wrong time and leaving the market is higher. Where if I'm in an index fund that's diversified, my highs and lows are much more stable, and I'm much less likely to sell and leave the market. And really, that's the key thing we want people doing. You need to stay in the market for the long haul, and staying in through those ups and downs is how you build wealth over time rather than selling at the wrong moment because your stock went down too much.
If it's not about finding specific winners, what moves the needle in investing over time?
I think that really trying to be clever, picking the right stock versus just being consistent is what really moves the needle. What we need people to be doing is really getting comfortable that I'm investing for long term, which means I invest and buy things regularly. And so if I'm adding to my position and if I'm buying index funds over time, I'm in the market longer. And that's really what builds wealth over time. It's not those short-term winners that you hear about. It's those companies that do it for the long haul. That's where you build real wealth.
What's the downside, if any, of the wrong focus or spending too much time of looking for that perfect stock?
So I think it's mostly emotional for people. So if I pick an individual stock, I kind of feel an emotional attachment to this. And when I get too emotional about the market, it allows me to make bad decisions more easily. And this is the worst thing you can do as an investor because there's a million things going on. We don't know when new tariffs are coming. You don't know if there's a war that's about to break out. There's so much out of your control that it's easy to get emotional if I get stuck in one stock. And what we need to do is come up with a plan and a structure so that we don't get stressed out and that we don't get emotional. And that's really what I want people to focus on is what is my plan with investing and how do I stick to it?
You mentioned the whole emotional component to investing. Is that the one thing that you want people to take away from today's episode?
Yeah, I think that it's really critical for long-term wealth building that emotion is not part of your decision making. You
Yeah.
need to build a system that you feel good about and that you can stick to for the long term. Because I think it's important that people realize it's not the most brilliant and smart people making money in the market. It's the people that are sticking to it consistently for the longest, because inevitably the market grows. And the more time I spend in it, the more money I build right along with it.
Next episode, we're actually going to talk about that aspect of the market and managing its highs and lows, ebbs and flows through the period of your investment. I'm looking forward to it.
That sounds great. And being able to deal with the emotional stress and making clear decisions is one of the earliest lessons that every new investor needs to deal with.
Alex, thanks for talking stocks.
No problem. We'll talk to you soon.